Today I have an unboxing and a desktop overview to share with you, and I think this rifle is going to be even further proof that air guns are amazing. Well, this is the FX Airguns Dynamic rifle in 30 caliber, and as I said, I'll be doing a desktop overview along with this unboxing, and in the midst of that I also want to talk just a little bit as we go about the experience of ordering from Utah Airguns. First, let's talk about this case. This FX Airguns case actually came with the rifle. That's nice, and it's even custom cut on the inside for the gun. And so, in true unboxing fashion, let's go over what comes with the gun. And again, I ordered this from Utah Airguns, and they put together this little packet for me. And I also ordered a scope from them. And so what they did is, rather than send the gun case and the box the scope came in, I actually paid the fee for the service they offer, which is to mount, level, and zero the scope. So the scope is already on the gun. And in here we've got the owner's manual for both the rifle and also for the scope, which is the Element Helix scope, and this is their first focal plane one. They've got this card in here that tells me what they tuned it for. They also include a tuning service. Now, the tuning service that comes with the purchase at Utah Airguns is for pellets, and so they tuned it to a very low power, and I actually have already turned the regulator up and changed the hammer setting for a slug shooter, because the Dynamic in this size is actually a dedicated slug gun. But in their pellet tuning, they were getting let's see, 940 feet per second with a 44.75 grain 30 caliber pellet. And in here they also have the little card they showed how they zeroed it, so it's shooting well. That's just a paper copy of my receipt. I get a FX Airguns sticker and a couple, looks like, of Utah Airguns stickers. Down over here, they've got all the stuff that would have come in the box with the scope. So it's got a sunshade that just screws onto the front, rubber covers in addition to hard flip-up covers, which are on it now. This is a replacement fitting for you can put it on a compressor or a fill tank, and it's got a long little collar on it, because some of the FX guns, if you use a short one, they'll get stuck in the gun. Although I don't think that would be a problem with the fill fitting on this one. This is just cleaning pad for the scope, Allen keys for the scope. Oh, this is a Element Optics sticker. Those come in the Element boxes. And then a little lever, little throw lever that goes on the magnification ring of the scope if you want to do that. So that leaves us with the rifle and the magazine, which is a 13-round magazine. So let's go ahead and pull this out. But it's a little hard to give you a good look at it from here. So let's set it up on the table on a stand. Alright, hopefully that gives you a decent enough look at the rifle. So let's just go over it. Back here is where the air bottle is. I believe that's a 480cc carbon fiber wrapped bottle, and it can hold up to 250 bar. So that should get a decent amount of shots, even in the 30 caliber that it is. Decent enough, anyway, especially for hunting purposes, which is mainly what I bought this rifle for. And then coming up here, the grip, it's got the FX AR-15 style grip, and you can actually put any regular AR-15 grip on it. But I love these FX ones. That's a rubber grip with some texture on it, and it is no slip, extremely comfortable to use. I have the same one in a video that I've shown before when I converted my Dreamline from Classic to Light. That's the exact same grip that came with that. So I'm very happy to see that that's what the Dynamic came with. In my opinion, I like it better than what the Panthera comes with, and this is basically the same rifle as the Panthera, but it has the bottle back here as the cheek piece, basically, instead of underneath, and the grip is this angled grip instead of that straight up and down one that the Panthera has. Over here, you can see it is a side lever action like other FX rifles. Up here, it's got the Picatinny rail on it, and it's got 30 minutes of angle built into it for the scope, so you don't have to put so much stress on the turrets getting it zeroed for your elevation. You get a little bit of that just right there in that. For these rings, these are the FX No Limits rings, and I got those mainly because I can adjust the height. You can even adjust the angle of the scope, but I didn't do that because I've got the angle in the rail. But I wanted to make sure I had plenty of height, because this back here, this air bottle, that's a bit higher up, especially with this plastic cover on it, than a normal cheek piece would be. And so I wanted to make sure the scope could get lifted up as much as possible so I'm not squeezing my face down too much. Again, as I said before, the scope is the Element Helix, and this is the second Element Helix that I've bought, and I absolutely love these. The first one that I bought is currently on my FX Dreamline, and I'm sure it'll probably stay there, and that is the second focal plane version. And if you're not familiar, that's where if you adjust the magnification, the size of the reticle doesn't change. So as you increase your magnification, all the way to full power, then the markings on it for MOA or mil, whatever you have, are going to be true. But as you decrease, they multiply because they're staying the same while the target gets smaller. But on the first focal plane, as you magnify the target, you also magnify the reticle. So, for example, 1 MOA always equals 1 MOA, no matter the magnification. These also track really well. I don't dial for shots very much, but when I do, this always comes back to true zero, at least on the one I've had, so I'm sure this one will as well. And as I said, Utah Airguns zeroed it, but their indoor range is 35 yards, and I'm planning on zeroing this rifle at 50, so I will need to redo that. In addition to the rubber covers that you saw, it also came with those flip-ups. Again, came with the scope, not the rifle. And then an interesting thing about this gun, this looks like a very, very thick barrel. It's actually not. The barrel inside is, I believe FX calls it their STX Heavy, and the Heavy is the one with the faster twist rate in the rifling. It's made for slugs instead of pellets, and again, that's because this is a dedicated slug gun. The barrel inside of here is a 600 millimeter barrel. It also comes in 700, just for my personal taste though, that was getting awfully long. And it also comes in 500, but that one I believe would come with a regular STX barrel for pellet shooting instead of slug shooting. But here's the part that I think is really interesting. The plenum on this gun is inside of this, what looks like a shroud. So you've got your main air over here, but as it goes through the regulator, the plenum is around the barrel here, up until right about this point. Under this little bridge there is a seam, and then the rest of this is just shroud. But from there back to here, that's your plenum, and it's very large, so you can get a lot of power out of this thing. Up here we have a twist cap that covers some threads. It's already threaded for a moderator, which you're going to see because I already picked one up when I bought the rifle, so I'll put that on while you're here. Underneath here, we've got this rail, and it's a combination. It's got an ARCA rail on the bottom where you can attach ARCA, tripods, bipods, etc. And then it also has M-LOK, as you can see, along the sides, on both sides, and under the bottom for attaching accessories. And it's got this bridge on it with M-LOK all the way around. Well, now let's flip it around. There's nobody else in here, so I can swing the muzzle that way, excuse me. And as I do that, I want to show you, let's use this moderator to prop that up. Right over here, we've got the hammer adjustments. This is for macro, large adjustments, and then this little wheel is micro. But the only thing that really matters on the hammer is just where the arrow is pointing on the numbers. It doesn't really matter whether you're adjusting with this or the little wheel. It's just where you end up. Over here are the gauges. The top one is the regulator. Utah Airguns, again, just did a pellet tune because that's the tune that comes with it. They had set the regulator to about 110 bar. I've increased it to about 132. And I have actually already shot this just on the Utah Airguns range when I went in. And with the hammer setting the way it is and the regulator, I'm currently getting an average of 953 feet per second with the JSB Knockout 50 grain slugs. And that gives me 101 foot-pounds of energy. That's not something I'm used to with air guns. Up until now, my most powerful air gun was a sort of a toss-up between the FX Dreamline and the Air Venturi Avenger at about 49 foot-pounds with pellets that they shoot. So this will be a real powerhouse compared to anything else that I've had before. Let's look right down on the bottom. There's this little cover that just pops off, and there's a male Foster fitting where you can attach the tank or the compressor, or hand pump, I suppose, if you want to spend a day or two pumping this up. And then, of course, the FX trigger. And when I tested this at the range, that trigger is fantastic. I don't know if I've talked on this channel yet about the one on my Dreamline, but it's just an absolutely amazing trigger, and this one was just like it. One thing that I did not mention while it was pointed this way, excuse me one more time, is the manual safety right up here, similar to that on an AR-15, except it's on this side of the gun, so you can manipulate that with your index finger. Well, now, why don't we get the moderator put on? So let's twist off this cap. This is the Donnie FL Sumo. Nice, large moderator. And when I tested the gun at Utah Airguns, I tried it both ways, without and with. My daughter was with me, and I fired the first shot without a moderator, and she immediately took a few steps back and said, yeah, that needs to have a silencer on it, and I absolutely agreed. I was blown away by how loud this rifle is. But now, let me see if I can swing that around and give you a little bit of a look at it. It's a nice big can on there. And when I tested it with that, it is still, louder than most of my other air guns, but it did take a lot of that bark out, so to speak. Now it's a lot more tolerable to be around, especially out with friends and family out in the field. It's not going to be bothering anybody. Well, anyway, that was a little tabletop overview today, and I have to say the experience buying from Utah Airguns, I've bought numerous rifles from them. I bought the Dreamline from them. I bought the Avenger, the Air Venturi rifle from them. I can't even remember what else, but there have been others. They are always an absolute joy to work with. They're extremely knowledgeable, and they are happy to share knowledge with you. They're very friendly. They don't keep things secret to themselves. Maybe some things for competition's sake, but they're extremely helpful. So if you're new, and this is, they don't sponsor me or anything, but if you're new to Airguns, I do highly recommend them. They ship pretty much everywhere. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video today, taking a look at this FX Dynamic. There will be a lot of fun on the channel with it, so please hit that subscribe button. And the few things we're going to do, general reviews with the gun, but also we like to get out and do ground squirrel shooting in places where there are pests and things like that, even some prairie dog shooting. And so now we're going to be adding this rifle to those activities, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with those videos as we'll have making them. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button down below. It does help the channel grow. And again, hit that subscribe button so you can be here to see more of this rifle and other videos that I have planned. Also, if you look in the description, you'll see where to find me on social media. Thank you so much for watching.